Hey everyone, it's Marguerite from Marguerite John, the DIY duo, and we have the big mouth Athena here to talk to us as well. Just wanted to follow up on the wall repair. This is the next part of repairing the wall. If you recall, my brother Nick came and he did the plastering, and he also, in certain areas where we didn't have a lot to do, but he needed to just smooth things out, he used a mixture of the plaster and the compound. And so if I back up here, you'll see that he's done all of that compound. It's nice and dry. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna sand it down. I'm not ready to paint yet. We're going to get rain in the next couple of days. What I really wanna do is just sand this down, see where there are any divots where I still need to maybe do some skim coating and touch-ups. And I'll take the camera off of its stand and show you where there are some divots where I know I'm going to have to do it. But my choice in sanding things down is to actually use one of these sanding blocks or sanding sponges. I hate to use sandpaper because I'm a girl, and when I use sandpaper, it actually affects my fingernails. So I like these blocks, and the interesting part about these blocks, this is, let me back up here. This is from 3M, and it's called a dust channeling block. I'm using 220 grit because all I really want to do is some fine sanding. Here's the channeling. So hopefully it's going to minimize the amount of dust that flies around as I sand. And I'm just going to show you a couple of places. Like I said, I'm going to take the camera off the stand, and I'm just going to show you a couple of places where we need to do that sanding. Okay, so I've taken the camera off the stand. It's in my hands now, and let me do some close-ups. I can show you. See, we've got some little dimples here. I was even able to get rid of it with my finger, but as you can see, we don't have any smooth edges here yet. If I go down the wall, let's see if I can get really close up. You can see all of this as well. Needs to be sanded smooth. If I go on this side, then you can really see, again, you're never, ever going to be able to get it right, smooth, perfect on a first coat. You'll see if you hired somebody to do this, they probably will take anywhere from, look, if they're doing it the right way, anywhere from 3 or more skim coats. What you do is basically you get everything filled in the first time, you smooth it out, you see where the inconsistencies are, where there's dips, where there's dings, where there's rough edges. You're gonna sand that down, you're going to put another skim coat, you're gonna do the same thing, you're gonna let it dry, and then you're gonna smooth it out again. You're gonna see whether or not you caught everything, and if you didn't, you're gonna go even wider, so that you just make a very, very smooth transition from where you did the fixing to where your wall didn't need any repairing. Literally, you're taking a very light touch, a very, very light touch, and going up and around and in circles, light touch, because what you want to do is you want to create a very smooth transition between where you've got your plaster or your compound and where your original wall is. All of this needs to be smoothed down. And to me, there's no right or wrong way to do it. What you need to do, like I said, is don't be heavy-handed, just go lightly. It's gonna make dust. Put something on the floor. Guess what I'm using? I'm using my washable wee-wee pads. I'm gonna shake them out once they collect all the dust, and then I'm gonna put them in the washing machine. But you're just gonna go very lightly to kind of create the smooth transitions that you wanna create. It's not the most exciting work in the world, so I'm gonna stop this video because you kind of get the idea. And then once I have everything smoothed out, I'll kind of show you where I found the divots. Like there's definitely divots here that we're gonna have to take care of. And I'll be doing my own skim coating. We definitely need to do the skim coating, so I went downstairs and I didn't realize how old my bucket of compound was, and when I opened it up, it was a lumpy, dumpy mess. And so I've been using my tool here to try and get all the lumps and bumps out, and it's not worth it. This is a skim coat, which means we need this compound as smooth as possible to go on the wall, to feather out, and I'm not taking my chances. As you could see, the way that it's dried in here, it's not worth it. So I'm headed to Home Depot or Lowe's. Okay, so we have our new spackle because the stuff that I had before is just no good. You want to have 2 knives to work with. You want something on the floor. Don't worry about whatever it is that you use on the floor. Obviously, you don't want anything good to be covering your floor. But if this spills and it dries, it very easily comes back up. But anyway, you want to work this a little bit. You want to make it nice and smooth. And you want to use only enough on your knife to do the spreading that you need to do on the wall. So I'm going to take just a little bit of what I need. Actually, I have too much here. I'm going to take some and I'm going to put back in here. And I'm going to spread it. And when you spread it, really what you're looking to do is make smooth, long patterns across the wall. What it's going to do is it's going to fill in your divots. Smooth, long strokes. Again, don't worry about being perfect. You can always sand away the imperfections. The idea is just to fill the divots and get your wall as smooth as it can. When you're dealing with plaster walls, it's a little trickier because these walls were never straight to begin with. These are all handcrafted walls. So it's actually a bit more forgiving. No one expects you to be perfect on a plaster wall because there's no such thing as a perfect plaster wall. Grab some more, put it on my trowel, and I'm working my way down. What I like to do actually is I like to take my square trowel right here, the one with the very, very long edge. I don't know if you can see it. And then I actually just like to run very smoothly going down the wall. And it's as simple as that. Just wanted to kind of fill you in on where we're at. So I did the second coating just using compounds, just using the knife, smoothing things out, trying to make an edge here. As you can see, it's really rough, and I'm gonna have one more skim coating to do once I sand this down. And up there, how we're doing at this point, much smoother, much neater looking. And if we go down this way, hard because I've got it on a stand, but if we go down this way, you can see, you know, some ripples going on over here that just need to be sanded out a little bit. And then, hello everybody. And then one last skim coat, one last sanding, and it's going to be ready for primer, and it's going to be ready after that for paint. And I'm going to use my handy dandy sponge one more time. And if I didn't tell you before, we know, because we heard from my brother Nick, painting 101, cover the floor. But if you're not into dust, because sanding this stuff is going to create dust, wear a mask. If you're not ready to go into the shower right away, you may even want to cover your hair. So I'm gonna get started now, and I'm just gonna show you again basically what I do and what I recommend doing. And let me get this in front of the wall here. Is I'm gonna sand. I'm not gonna use the channel side. I'm just gonna use the regular side right now. And I'm going to very lightly, again, if you're allergic to dust, you don't wanna breathe it in, I suggest wearing a mask. I'm just a hack and I'm okay with it. I've been around this all my life. It doesn't necessarily bother me. But everybody else, I recommend wearing a mask, even goggles. I'm gonna very lightly sand, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run my hand over the wall as I'm sanding, because what I'm trying to do is get rid of any peaks, any valleys. I want this to be smooth, because depending on the paint you use, it's going to bring out the imperfections. Again, there's no such thing as a perfect wall. You can get it to be as perfect as possible, but especially in an old house, you're going to have bumps and bruises around your wall, and depending on the paint you use, it's going to emphasize it or de-emphasize it. And we could talk about paint and the different types of paint when we get there, which is coming up. But again, lightly sand, run your hand down wherever you feel like there was a bump that you needed to get rid of. The goal is no bumps, no divots. Nice, smooth wall. All right, I'll be back. I'm covered in dust except for my hair because I covered it. Again, eye protection, mask. If you don't want to breathe in this dust, I highly recommend. I'm used to it. It's not that much compared to what I've been through in all my renos, so I take some shortcuts, but I don't recommend it for anybody else, because if you're not used to it, it could really make you cough, clog your nose, make your eyes itch. Anyway, I'm done sanding, and as you can see, I've smoothed things out. There's some divots in the corners that I know I need to do with a final skim coat, but for the most part, 90% done. A few touch-ups here and there, let it dry. One more light sand, and I'm gonna try and take this off the stand so that I could kind of take you around. As you can see now, if we go down the corners, pretty smooth edges. But again, as we go down here, you're gonna see like a little indentation here, a couple of areas here where I know that I need to fill in a little bit more. Again, what I'm doing is as I sand, I run my hands down the wall. I'm feeling for divots. I'm also feeling for where there's waves in the wall so that I can just sand it down, make it nice and smooth, make it ready for paint. So I'll be doing, just like I said, one more skim coat. I don't think you need to see what I do there. Again, I'm just gonna do it, and it's going to be ready for painting really, really soon. If you have any questions, you need us to go over anything, again, here you'll see where I'm just gonna fill in one last time. If you have any questions, email us, ask us, we're happy to answer them. Otherwise, we're gonna see you in the next video where we're actually prepping and painting the wall. Okay, see you again very, very soon. Hey everybody, one last thing. What do you do when you're done? How do you wash these? I literally just do some tepid water, and you just kind of scrape them against each other, you just scrape them clean and you dry them. That's all that you have to do. Don't worry. What I like to do also, once they're scraped clean, is I actually like to dry them because they do rust, and if they rust, it's no big deal. Don't worry about it. You can always sponge the rust off when you want to use them again to compound the wall. And if the rust gets into the compound, it's not a big deal. You're painting over it anyway. But that's it. That's all you have to do. Now, once this dries, we're going to be ready to paint, and we'll do a whole video on selecting paint finishes and preparing the wall for paint, choosing your brushes, and painting. So stay tuned.